So now I want to talk a little bit about a concept called stochastic entryism. So what does this mean? Let's start with stochastic. Stochastic is an adjective used in various fields: mathematics, statistics, physics, and finance. It refers to a process or a variable that is random and involves a degree of unpredictability or chance. In simpler terms, stochastic describes systems of or phenomena that have a random or probabilistic element. For example, in stochastic processes, outcomes are not determined with certainty but follow a probability distribution. Stochastic models are often used to describe situations where randomness or uncertainty will play a significant role. The term is derived from the Greek word stachos, meaning aim or guess, reflecting the idea of randomness and unpredictability in these processes. Why am I referring to the word stochastic? Well, there is a concept that you may have heard from the media called stochastic terrorism. Are you familiar with this? In stochastic terrorism, the idea that the media is putting out there is that if you, say, criticize someone that the media wants to protect, like, I don't know, like an activist or a political figure, or maybe a political leader or a quote-unquote journalist, they say that by talking about them or even like giving them too much attention, you put them at some kind of risk. And you could increase this by, say, posting their real name, or posting what city they live in, or even like posting pictures of their home. Because the idea is that you be saying, well, look, I don't want to do anything to harm this person. I don't want anything bad to happen to them. But I'm just putting this information out there. And if something happens, if some person has like the stones to like act on this and do something radical, then there you have it. I believe that there was an incident where a sister of game developer American McGee had her home doxxed, and while the person who did the doxing didn't necessarily like do anything, she was in fact in danger. This is stochastic terrorism. It's like, putting out all of the pieces without acting on it, and then hoping that the odds are something will happen, especially if that person is viewed disfavorably. So I want to talk about stochastic entryism. So what is entryism? Entryism refers to a political strategy or tactic in which individuals or groups seek to infiltrate and influence an existing political organization, party, or movement. It could also be used to describe people who are trying to infiltrate an activist group or a company or anything else, right? A school, a team, it doesn't matter. The purpose of entryism is often to promote specific ideological, policy, or leadership changes within the targeted organization. There are two types of entryism. There's open entryism. In this form, individuals openly declare their affiliation with a particular group or ideology and join a larger organization with the intent of shifting its direction or policy. The individuals may work to gain positions of influence within the organization in order to advance the agenda. And then there's secret or covert entryism. Here, the individuals or groups clandestinely join an organization without disclosing their true affiliations or intentions. The goal is to operate within the organization discreetly, influencing its decisions from the inside. Now, let's talk a little bit about the difference between those things. Okay, so open entryism, let's use the Sweet Baby Inc. or like the kind of woke feminist class that is coming into a male-dominated area, video games could be an example. In open entryism, they will say, we are feminists and we're going to change this. We're going to replace all of your characters with like our characters. We're going to change the games to be more along the lines of our personal beliefs. We're going to remove sexuality. We're going to uggify all the women. We're going to do all of these things, and we're telling you what we're doing, okay? Under covert entryism, they're going in with the intention of doing it, and they're organized, but they're just not telling you about it. Now, that is happening, but I want to talk about stochastic entryism. So what is that? Now, that isn't really a term, but I have heard it used before in other contexts. Let's look at it this way. Say you have a generation of young men and women, and they're attending university and they're learning all about this kind of Marxist philosophical framework. They're being trained to see the world in terms of power dynamics between men and women, between black and white, between rich and poor, between whatever, right? Indigenous and colonizer, it doesn't matter. And the professors and the academics, the intellectuals have repeatedly fed this line to them, and they say this is happening in our culture, and they give a bunch of examples. This is why, by the way, a lot of SJWs are so obsessed with pop culture. They talk about Disney movies, they talk about, like, Harry Potter, they don't read another book, things like that. So you tell them that this is ever present everywhere, and these kids, they typically are interested in being writers or journalists or artists of some kind, maybe involved in theater, and they're convinced that all of these industries, all of these institutions are in fact patriarchal and oppressive. Okay, so if you hire through DEI, which is sort of a top-down thing, if you enforce DEI practices in a company, because you're going to get women, minorities, and I don't know if sexual sexual minorities are something you can account for, but you're more likely going to get people who fall into the oppressed class in your company if you are using DEI. And if those kids went to college, then there is a very good chance that they're going to be woke before even entering school, because they learned that entire paradigm while in school. Okay, so it's not, and the companies that are hiring them, they may not even know. They're just thinking, oh yeah, affirmative action is good, right? And so they bring on affirmative action hires of whatever type. And because those people have been conditioned this way, they're more likely going to believe in this stuff, right? And then they're going to come in and they're going to change it because they're already coming in with this worldview. They're feminists already, right? And this is important to point out, because what's happening is there is entryism, but a lot of it is unknown. It's not like they're organized. And that's why they would say, for example, Sweet Baby would say, or not Sweet Baby, but these rags, these Guardian articles, they'll be like, well, there's no conspiracy, and to ruin your games and put DEI in your games, but it isn't, in terms that if you ask the individuals that work there, if they all got together and they have a club and they formed, they meet at some ruined temple somewhere and sacrifice baby's blood to Moloch, they're not doing that. They're not actually conspiring actively, but it's not necessary because they're already true believers by the time they get a job. So what the journalists, who are also part of this stochastic entryism, they're also conditioned, they're going to defend that because they're already the people who are hired and the people who are writing about this stuff, and the people, even a lot of the people in charge, they're under the assumption that what they believe is simply the right thing. They believe in the good things, and anyone who disagrees with them believes in the bad things. And the entryism that's going on, that has happened already, is feeding into that. Do you see what I'm saying? So, as an example, I will show you really quick this article from The Guardian, because The Guardian is now one on the list of people who are talking about Gamergate 2. So it says, it's 10 years since Gamergate. The industry must now stand up to far-right trolls, by Keza McDonald's. And I'll go through this article in another one, maybe a stream, or I'll do another live video, or not live, but another video reaction. But I wanted to mainly focus on stochastic entryism because this is what we are dealing with. in for the most part. So you have companies like BlackRock, and these are massive corporations. Gamergate is not small. It is let's say, a tentacle that is part of a much larger problem. And it's not only in our culture, it is affecting our economy, it is affecting our agriculture, it is affecting our relationships with other countries. This is humongous. And I know that people like Tachyon Blue, if you're seeing this, I know that you'll say that this is not about any of those things, but you are wrong. What is happening now is a large project, and it just so happens that you messed with the wrong people. You messed with autists that just wanted to play their video games. So anyway, let me know what you guys think about this concept. Again, I don't claim to be an expert on any of this. I would be humbled by your feedback, and just give me your thoughts, and I will talk to you all in the next one. Long live Vivian.